Welcome back. As you know, I'm Eli the Computer Guy here for the Daily Blob, where I say, what's that smell? What's that smell? Oh, it's Microsoft's artificial intelligence. Should have known. So I think this is an interesting story when we talk about artificial intelligence and the massive electricity use of these data centers, right? The amount of electricity that's required for these AI data centers is just absolutely insane. So instead of doing a simple Google search for a recipe on how to make lasagna, you can, burn as much energy as a car uses in a day for AI to uniquely write that recipe for you. And so this is coming back to bite a lot of these tech companies in the ass, because literally the amount of electricity they're using is just insane, right? You hear this from Meta. They're talking about deploying this like 5 gigawatt AI data center, and that's literally the amount of electricity it uses. So originally, like I was seeing this like 4.5 gigawatt or 5 gigawatt data center. I'm trying to figure out what that means. Like how many servers is that? How many racks is that? How many whatever? And it's just, no, that is literally how much electricity it burns. It burns that much electricity just so we can these garbage ass AI services that most of us don't know what the hell to deal with. I'm glad all these AI CEOs are really confident that AI is going to be taking all of our jobs. Most of us look at this horse crap and are like, well, it's a good party. It's a really good party trick, but I'd prefer not to die of global warming because of it. But anywho, right? So these tech companies are out there, they're trying to figure out how to shine the turd of their electricity consumption for these crappy ass AI projects. And it appears that one of the things that Microsoft is going to be doing is it's going to be buying human poop, essentially, to inject into the ground 5,000 feet under the ground to sequester CO2. Because that's the kind of innovation you expect from Microsoft. These jokes just write themselves. It's not even a joke. You mean Microsoft is going to be injecting human poop 5,000 feet underground? Yeah, sounds like what Microsoft would do. I think it's from Tom's Hardware. Microsoft buys more than $1 billion worth of excrement, including human poop, to clean up its AI mess. Company will pump waste underground to offset AI carbon emissions. My issue with this kind of thing, one, it's kind of funny to think about Microsoft in the business of slopping poop around. I'm like, wow! On the nose. But the other thing too is like with a lot of these technology companies, instead of coming up with real technology solutions that would solve the problems, it seems like there's a lot of this smoke and mirror, right? This virtue signaling type of thing. So instead of putting up enough solar panels to actually power these data centers, instead of putting up enough wind farms to power these data centers, instead of figuring out a way to, with renewable energies in a renewable way, be able to power these data centers, what they're doing is they're using fossil fuels, right? They're just burning the ever-loving shit out of fossil fuels to power these garbage ass data centers, and then they're like, oh, but we're going to offset that by squirting poop 5,000 feet underground. And you're like, oh, love of God. Anywho, it is kind of interesting. And when you find out they might be spending like $1.7 billion to do this, like, you just think about it. Like, think about if you have $1.7 billion and you're actually trying to make the world a better place. I mean, not that Silicon Valley would actually make the world a better place, right? They are too busy mining the foundations of our civilization to get a couple nuggets of gold out of it. But think about that. Think about if you put $1.7 billion into supporting insulating houses for underprivileged or poor people, essentially, right? Upgrading HVAC systems, the heat pumps or whatever. What if the money was actually used in such a way that it would lower energy consumption for other places and actually make people's lives better and empower people? Wouldn't that be great? $1.7 billion. When I talk about this, right, this isn't $1 million, right? $1 million. I know it might be hard for you to hear, but $1 million really isn't that much money. $100 million is a little bit of money, but it's not that much money either. But when we start talking about $1.7 billion, you're like, oh, you're gonna spend $1.7 billion to squirt poop underground. I mean, it's something, I guess. It is, as they would say, something. Microsoft has just signed a deal with Vaulted Deep, paying it to provide 4.9 million metric tons of waste over 12 years sourced from manure, sewage, and agricultural byproducts for injection deep underground. According to Inc., the current cost of CO2 removal with the company is $350 per ton. If you multiply that by Microsoft's contract, that makes it worth more than $1.7 billion. However, neither entity has disclosed the actual terms of the deal, and CEO Julia Reichelstein says the company expects its cost to drop over time. Vaulted's technique is unique. Instead of extracting carbon dioxide from the air or electricity production, it collects organic waste. It combines it into a thick slurry, which is then injected about 5,000 feet underground. This prevents it from being dumped at a waste disposal site where it would eventually decompose and release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Quote, generally, what happens to these wastes today is they go to a landfill, they get dumped in a waterway, or they're just spread on land for the purpose of disposal. In all these cases, they're decomposing into CO2 and methane, said Reichelstein. That's contributing to climate change, and then oftentimes, especially when it's spread on land, all those pathogens are going directly into people's groundwater. Projects such as these enable Microsoft and other tech giants to offset massive amounts of carbon emissions produced by data centers, particularly as they consume a significant amount of electrical power, often generated from fossil fuels. So, yeah, we're probably going to start seeing more of these crappy-ass solutions coming from these artificial intelligence companies. And it'll be curious to see how this goes. When we take a look at it, when you look at the resource consumption of AI, it is just absolutely astronomical, right? The electricity cost is through the roof. The amount of water that they use for their coolers, their chillers. So there's these cooling systems. Basically, they put on the roofs. They use water in order to cool the facilities. They go through a tremendous amount of water every single day to cool those facilities. And so it'll be interesting to see what the blowback is for these AI companies using so many resources, when at the exact same time they're using all these resources, they're literally saying that their AI will destroy the world. I mean, think about this for a second. One of the weird things that I find with this whole AI revolution is the narrative that is being presented by the CEOs of these AI companies, right? These are not the narratives of the fucking blue hairs. These aren't the narratives or some quacks up on the mountaintop or whatever. Literally, the CEOs come out and God bless them, they say exactly what they mean, right? They say, this AI is going to take away everybody's jobs. This AI is going to make human work so pointless that there's going to need to be UBI, right? This is going to, do all of this stuff, can create, weapons that are more dangerous than anything else, right? It's going to make, AI-powered killer robots, the whole 9 yards. Like, really think about this for a second when you think about artificial intelligence. What's weird is I'm pretty realistic about AI, pessimistic about AI in many ways. And you'll hear me talk a lot about healthcare, right? Imagine artificial intelligence that's doing healthcare. I think that could be absolutely phenomenal. AI to be doing tracking of things. Think about all these IoT devices and trying to figure out the best way to move things around in workflows, right? I try to talk about the things about artificial intelligence that could actually be good. And the weird thing that I find is that most of these CEOs aren't saying that. They're basically saying doom and gloom. They're like, yes, our gazillion-dollar technology is going to destroy the world. And so something to consider when you think about this AI revolution. So you have these CEOs, right? You have these bloodthirsty CEOs that are mining the foundations of our society just so they can get their little chunk of gold. All right. They're creating these products that we're told are going to make the world fundamentally worse. And then they're demanding resources, just an extreme amount of resources from society to build these products that are going to destroy your life. But don't worry, they're gonna make $1 trillion off of it. You're gonna be selling your kid's bunghole out behind the 7-Eleven, but you'll have a smile on your face because you'll know Sam Altman's a trillionaire. And the question that I have with this, I don't know, how well this story is going to go, how well this narrative is going to go. I've been talking to some people that deal with the young folks recently, and one of the interesting things is from a career counselor's perspective, how many young people don't want to get into technology anymore. And this is curious, right? Because, as the generations go by, right? I'm Gen X, and then there's Millennial, then there's Gen Z, and then there's Gen Alpha, right? There's a few generations below me. And one of the curious things is like Gen X was really excited about technology, Millennials are really excited about technology. But once you start getting the Gen Zers and you start getting the Gen Alphas and that type of thing, they're becoming more and more jaded about technology. They see the technology that's come out, they see the utility of the technology, but then they see the damage of it. Right? If you look at Facebook and social media, how many girls are killing themselves, right? Just so Mark Zuckerberg can get a little bit more blood money, right? How many people have body dysmorphia? How many people are spending more money than they have just to prove to people that they don't know that they're actually successful in life, right? A lot of these young people are looking at the world and saying, this technology that we have is not providing a world that looks like anything that we like. And so you have those folks, and then you start having the Sam Altmans, and they still think they're young, right? The millennials still think they're young and cool, right? You have the Sam Altmans, you have Elon Musk from Gen X, you have these people. And I think there's a real question if there's going to be a division between the generations on the idea of whether artificial intelligence quite literally is worth it. And I think that's something to ponder as we go forward, right? We've heard that about cryptocurrencies and things, right? These cryptocurrency miners that go in and find places that have cheap electricity, and they end up driving up the electricity price just so they can get their little blood money from the cryptocurrency, right? And then you have people pushing back. You have city councils or the government agencies trying to shut them down. I do wonder, as we go forward with this, is it going to be less and less tenable to run these artificial intelligence projects? One of the things that the masters of the universe seem to ignore is they only get to make their billions of dollars because of the permission of society. The moment society retracts that permission, whatever the hell it is that they've been building goes the fuck away, right? You cannot build a data center the size of Manhattan without buy-in from a hell of a lot of other people. So I'm just wondering how this works. And the thing to be thinking about, if you're an organization leader and you're thinking about these ways to offset whatever you're doing, beyond the numbers, beyond the metric tons of CO2 or whatever, what I would say is to think about what the actual story is there, right? If Microsoft was funding putting insulation and better windows into poor people's houses. Think about that story. If Microsoft was funding in the inner city retrofitting facilities for heat pump systems, if Microsoft, for nonprofit organizations or whatever, was funding to put in solar panels and that type of thing, $1.7 billion. Imagine the story of Microsoft putting $1.7 billion into making actual people's lives better, right? Not only will artificial intelligence make the world better in the future, but they are investing into people now. Think about that story, right? Whereas what their story is they're just buying a whole bunch of shit and pumping it underground. Maybe it works by the numbers. So what do you think about this? What do you think about Microsoft buying a whole bunch of poop, $1.7 billion of poop, and injecting it 5,000 feet underground? Do you think this is a wise idea to begin with? That's the other thing I look at this. I'm like, really? Everything we've done to this planet, and now we're injecting poop 5,000 feet underground. I mean, yeah, it's a plan. It is a plan. I don't know. Put your thoughts down below. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs down. Give us an amazing comment or a horrible comment. All YouTube cares about is that interaction. Do you remember SiliconDojo.com exists? We are having our next fireside chat within the next couple of weeks. We are having a technical co-founder, CTO, or whatever. He's going to be on the show. Their company has actually tried to implement AI into their systems, and it has gone curiously. So we are going to get his real world perspective on what that's actually like. So think about going to silicondojo.com if you're interested in that. And with that, see y'all later.